Hello everyone. Welcome back to Old Charles today. We're diving into the history and value of one of Britain's classic pre-decimal coins, the United Kingdom Two Shilling coin from 1966. This coin carries not just monetary worth, but also a piece of British heritage from the final years before decimalization. So let's uncover its story, condition grades, and current market value to understand the 1966 Two Shilling coin. We need to step back into a time before the UK switched to its decimal currency system. The Two Shilling coin, often called a florin, was first introduced in 1849 during the reign of Queen Victoria. It was originally valued at 1/10 of a pound, or 24 old pence, and was part of an early experiment toward decimalization. By 1966, the coin was still circulating widely across the United Kingdom. It featured the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II designed by Mary Gillick, which shows a youthful queen wearing a laurel wreath, a symbol of victory and honor. The reverse side displays the Tudor rose, surrounded by thistles, shamrocks, and leeks, representing England, Scotland, Ireland, and Wales with the inscription, FID Def 2 Shillings 1966. This coin was made of cupronickel, replacing the earlier silver versions that ended in 1946 due to the rising cost of silver after World War II. The 1966 issue was among the last florins to be produced before the UK fully transitioned to decimal currency in 1971, making it a piece of British numismatic history. So, how much is a 1966 Two Shilling coin worth today? Well, its value depends heavily on condition, rarity, and collector demand. The 1966 florin was produced in large numbers, so it's not particularly rare, but it's still cherished by collectors of pre-decimal coins and British history enthusiasts. Circulated condition around 20 pence to 1 pound GBP. These are coins that show noticeable wear from everyday use. Fine to very fine condition ** between 1 pound and 2 pounds sterling. Slightly better detail. Moderate wear, but clear features. Extremely fine. EF ** around 3 pounds to 5 pounds sterling. Very light wear, sharp details, and a bright surface. Uncirculated or mint condition between 6 pounds and 10 pounds sterling, and sometimes higher if graded by professional services like NGC or PCGS. If the coin is part of a proof set or has a brilliant uncirculated finish, it can be worth even 15 pounds or more, depending on the collector's interest. The coin should have a milled edge if it's smooth or damaged. It lowers collector value. If your coin shines brightly with no signs of circulation, you might have a brilliant uncirculated piece, which is a real treasure for collectors. Did you know that the term florin comes from a gold coin originally struck in Florence, Italy? In the 13th century, the name stuck and was later adopted in Britain for this silver coin denomination. Also, when decimalization took place in 1971, the Two Shilling coin didn't disappear right away. It continued to circulate as the new 10 pence coin, since both had the same value. The 1966 Two Shilling coin may not make you rich overnight, but it's a fascinating reminder of Britain's journey from old currency to the modern decimal system. That it's a piece of history that connects us to the past, when coins weren't just money, but symbols of national pride and craftsmanship. So, if you find one in your collection or in an old drawer, hold onto it, because every coin tells a story. Let's take a journey back in time to understand the fascinating history of the United Kingdom's Two Shilling coin, also known as the florin, a coin that represents more than a century of British monetary evolution. The story of the Two Shilling coin began in 1849, during the reign of Queen Victoria. At that time, the British government introduced the florin as part of an early attempt to move toward a decimal currency system. You see, Britain's old monetary system was quite complicated, with 12 pence in a shilling and 20 shillings in a pound. To make trade and accounting easier, they tested the idea of dividing the pound into 10 florins, making each florin worth 1/10 of a pound, or 24 old pence. The first version of the coin, nicknamed the Godless florin, caused quite a controversy. Why? Because the design omitted the phrase *dei gratia, which means by the grace of God. Many people at the time believed that leaving out God's name was disrespectful to the crown and the church. As a result, the coin was quickly redesigned in 1851 to include the phrase again. Over the years, the Two Shilling coin continued to evolve. During the reigns of Edward VII, George V, and George VI, its design and metal composition changed multiple times. In its early days, the coin was made of 92.5% sterling silver, but after 1920, the silver content was reduced to 50% due to rising metal costs. Finally, in 1947, silver was completely removed, and the coin was struck in cupronickel, a durable mix of copper and nickel that was cheaper to produce. Now fast forward to 1966 during the reign of Queen Elizabeth II. Britain was in the modern era, yet still using its traditional pre-decimal system. The 1966 2-shilling coin featured the second portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by the sculptor Mary Gillick, showing the young queen wearing a laurel wreath, a symbol of peace and victory, on the reverse side. The design by Edgar Fuller and Cecil Thomas beautifully displays the Tudor rose in the center, surrounded by 4 national emblems: the thistle for Scotland, the shamrock for Ireland, and the leek for Wales, all encircled by the inscription *FID def. 2 shillings 1966. The Latin term FID def stands for Fidei Defensor, which means defender of the faith. The 1966 issue was one of the last pre-decimal 2-shilling coins ever minted. Just a few years later, in 1971, the United Kingdom officially switched to the decimal currency system, replacing shillings and pence with a simpler structure of 100 new pence to the pound. Interestingly, the 2-shilling coin didn't disappear immediately after decimalization, because its value, 10 new pence, matched the new decimal coin. It continued to circulate as legal tender for years. In fact, people still used these old florins right up until 1993, when the smaller 10p coin replaced them completely. The 1966 2-shilling coin, therefore, stands as a symbol of transition, bridging the old British currency with the modern decimal system. It marks the final era of pre-decimal coinage under Queen Elizabeth II and holds a nostalgic charm for collectors who remember the old days of pounds, shillings, and pence. From its Victorian origins in 1849 to its continued use well into the 1990s, the 2-shilling coin tells the story of how Britain's economy, artistry, and traditions evolved over more than a century. The 1966 version, in particular, captures the final breath of that long historical journey, a true collectible for anyone who appreciates British coinage history. Now that we've covered the history of the 1966 2-shilling coin, let's talk about something that truly determines its market worth: the condition, or grade, of your coin. In coin collecting, condition is everything. Even a common coin can become valuable if it's well preserved. Collectors and numismatists around the world use a standardized grading system to evaluate a coin's appearance, wear, and overall quality. Let's go step by step through each major grading level and how it applies to the 1966 2-shilling coin. So when it comes to the 1966 2-shilling coin, remember this: condition can make all the difference. A worn example might be worth only a few pennies, but a well